the wrong word, but...
No, I mean, the word roughly done. No, the crudely.
What would you say the contrast we should achieve before putting the membrane on?
Not as light as this. Well, let's since you're criticising my art, I just sort of.
No,
I hadn't really had time to look at it. It is a bit too light. It will create problems later. You can, and you will, re-establish shadows, certainly, but the effect you're putting a shadow over the top is different from having a shadow underneath.
So you could put the question like this instead: if you do it light, you have to re-establish the shades later on.
Well, if it's so light, it doesn't show through. You've just wasted all your time, really. Yeah. So it's not going to show through at all if it's too light.
If you do a very small icon with a very small face, should you make it lighter then?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
So we're still with the green?
Green and yellow, yeah. That's probably enough. Okay, now this is really important. Don't forget this, whatever you do, is to put your wash really dilute. Let me wash that. Really dilute green over the top. Can you all remember what that was for? This is the comprehension
To
test.
seal it so it
That's
won't
right, or
absorb it.
semi-seal, yeah. Use a squirrel brush for that. I don't need to get streaky, not just streaky. So. Okay, so while it's drying, I'll mix up the other. So you'll get to know which pigments are stronger than others. So always put your weak pigment in first, and then your strong. So this is going to be a mixture of red, yellow, and white. Yellow is the dominant colour anyway. That happens to be weaker than the red. So you want more yellow anyway, but put that in. If you put the red in first, you'll end up probably having to mix far too much than you need, because you'll have so much yellow to counteract the red, you will end up with a lot of wastage. When Theophilus describes this technique, he suggests using vermilion. I use English light red. A more sort of sentimental effect is gained if you make it pinker. In other words, you basically use red and white, and it look a bit sentimental. So you want something a little bit sort of warm, sort of suntanned, as it were. And this is where a lot of the variety will occur, not just in your drawing, but at this stage, the precise colour, the hue of your underpainting, of your membrane, sorry. Some will be more yellow, some redder, and that will affect the final result. So, as I said, it's not an easy thing to do, because you want an even effect, and you don't want it too thick, otherwise you'll cover everything. You don't want it too light, because if you have a really, say if you just washed it that light, when you came to doing your highlights would be darker than that. That's because there's so much white showing through from the gesso. So it's got to be deep enough, so when you put your first yellow-white highlight on it, it is actually lighter than the membrane. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Okay. So use a squirrel brush for that. Dip it in, take most of it off. And it's probably safest to put it on in sections. If you go like that, you're bound to get lines showing. So I find it better, especially the first one or two, to do it in sections, so your joins are going to be where there's a line anyway, i.e. the nose and the brow. And go with the direction of the form. So do the left here now. And see I'm going over the hair. If you try to stop at the hair, then you have a blob, so just go over. Okay. So just try to cover once each time if you start to fiddle around, you see that slightly darker one there? I went over that again. So you see it's twice as dark, so you want to avoid that. I underestimated the amount I need. So I'm going to have to, these do suck up an enormous amount of pigment, so to save time, make up quite a lot.
What's the percentage of the bacon? Is it,
Of pigments?
yeah, it's like 50-50 or?
Oh no. Probably, I'm guessing about 85% yellow, 7% red, 7% white, something like that. Big roughly. I'll give you samples of all this, so you swatch, so you get some rough idea. I mean, you could get away with that red, but it would be quite a tan face. Probably that's something like that that I used for Theodore.
Is it English red that you use it?
Yeah, you want bright colours for the flesh, so this is why this English light, sorry, the yellow ochre light from Maimery, that's the best. And the finest, ochres can be a bit gritty. So here you've got a light ochre and a fine one, an English light red. An ordinary red ochre is a bit purpley, it's got blue in it. And that is, I don't think will produce a good result.
Is the white a Chinese white, a zinc white, or is it a
Well, probably they say lead white is the best because it lightens without making it pastel. Zinc white is very translucent, but it's, I can't get like so fluffy, and to have any effect you've got to put a lot in,
Right, okay.
and it just fluffs the pigment up at scarcely. So titanium isn't the best, but it's strong, so you don't need to put much in.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it myself, but lead white is.
What
probably
happens
better.
if you skip the white in the first layer?
I used to do that.
It feels like white is scary
Yeah.
because it makes just.
Do
what
you
you
want
said.
a little swatch, everyone?
Can you skip the white if you want to?
If you want. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's just a trace of it. Haven't developed iPad, so you can put a swatch on it. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
One point here. Another one.
Yeah, you need them white, really.
I'll cut it out and glue it on. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So, which one will I use?
Sorry, did you finish answering that question about what happens if you do skip the white?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the white reckons.
Did you mix exactly the same colour for this layer as you're mixing now?
Well, it won't be exactly the same, but because it's
But you
a
mixed the
separate
red
layer.
and white.
Yeah, exactly the same combination. I didn't mean to put egg in that. That's a little bit dark, that. You don't want to have a really, really watery, others will be here forever. On the other hand, if it's too dark, it's going to be too opaque, it's going to be difficult to get it even. So that's a bit too dark, really. It's danger of it having streaks. Having started, you've got to continue. Just did it. I'll not forget your ears. I just got away with that. If you do quickly, if you have that quickly, you tend to pick up what's underneath and take it with you, so it's not so bad. But if you put a stroke on, leave it and come back to it, that's dried, and the second one will make a double layer. So that's why it's good to move quickly. When you do overlap, you sort of drag it with you, and it's fairly even. So you can see we're almost there, we're almost finished the icon. You see that? Yeah, it's all there, isn't it? So that's still a bit, if we stop there, it would still be a bit too light, really. And if we started putting highlights on that, the highlights would appear darker than the membrane.
So how many coats are we aiming for?
Yeah. 4, something like that.
Right, okay.
Well, it just depends on how opaque your layer is in the first place. If you start getting streaks, like here, there's some there, then go in another direction. So just have a look at it. So here I'm going to go this way now.
So is this the same mix?
Same mixture.
So you do a second coat with that one.
And if I just said always do 3 coats, you know, for some of you it may be too light because you haven't got a very dark mixture, so one can't be definitive about it. Now whatever you do, don't over-egg your mixture. Okay, if you do all this with an over-egg mixture, you get a glazy surface and it'll be really, really difficult to build up on top of that. It'll be like painting on glass. So put egg in, pack it with pigment, and then add your water. First pack with pigment. Wait about 4 minutes between layers, and a soft touch on your brush. But you see how I'm not, with the same brush, if I have it like that, it's not very wide, but if you go slightly sideways, see, so it's twice the width as that. So slightly sideways, you would have less strokes and therefore less chance to create marks. It looks easy, but it's a bit more tricky than it looks. So. Okay, so I'll probably put 2 more layers on it. Have you all got a squiggle? About 12, that is.
I've forgotten mine.
You can borrow those. Some of you have been underpainting the hair. That's I've recommended all of you underpaint it more to understand the form of it. In my demonstration, I'll just be doing that with the Pro Moss technique. But that would be a different colour, obviously, than this.
So it's
Christ is sort of a really brown colour.
So I was going to say, so that's the 3 layers, but the second and third layer had a bit of white in, but the
Why
first
no?
layer didn't.
No, it's just that I ran out, that's why I made another layer, so they'll all normally be yellow with a bit of red and a bit of white.
Okay,
The
so
whole
I
lot,
missed that.
everything, yeah.
So the same recipe for each layer,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, it's just the same mix, I just ran out, that's it.
So it was about 85% yellow, you said, 5% red,
7% red
7% red.
and red something. We just match that swatch as best you can. Yeah. So have it mostly white, just add a little bit of red, mix it up until it looks about right, and add a bit of white. Now when you have a mix like that, very watery, the pigment will settle to the bottom, and different pigments they settle. So every time you go in to paint, mix it up first. If you just dip it in like that, you get streaks of different pigments. So give it a good mix. The more watery, the more the pigment will settle. So mix it up so it's entirely uniform. Take off the excess. Look at where the strokes, so the strokes this direction, so I'll go the other direction now. Each layer will be easier and easier to make it non-streaky just because it's less absorbent. So it should get easier as you go. What you don't want to do is, having put one layer on, don't within a few seconds revisit it. If you poke like that, you'll pick it up because one layer has softened everything. So, you know, do it confident. Don't rush, but do it confidently. And if you've something you don't like, don't sort of pick around. You'll dig a hole in it otherwise. So that's almost out. Probably got one more layer on that.
So it's got 4 layers so far.
So far, yeah.
What will happen afterwards with all the messy stuff around it?
Then we'll just scrub that off with the scrubbing brush. With the hair here, it'll be a fairly darkish coat, so you could probably just leave that on if you wanted, but if you get a brush like that sooner rather than later, scrub it until it's all dissolved, wash quickly, then mop up. That's the process. Scrub until dissolved, wash, dry, mop. So you need a rag for that. Do it soon rather than later, the egg will harden with time. Yeah, certainly one layer will do it.
So
If you're in doubt about your mix, before you put it on, call me over and we'll see if it's the right colour and the right degree of opacity.
How do you know when you've done enough layers, or is it standard that it's
Um,
a certain number?
no, it's not sensitive. That's about how you want it, really.
So that the under modelling is quite reduced.
Yeah, it is. That's why you need it dark enough to survive.
Okay.
But that's about about the sort of depth of colour. So the white's still showing through, but it's not, I mean I can't describe it, can you? You've got to sort of make a mental photograph of it.
And when it dries, is it going to become lighter, or
No,
that's the
it should be like
process?
that. If you like, while you're letting all that settle, you can mix up a Pueblos moss mixture for the hair, which can be all sorts of things, but you want to sort of really, depends on your particular icon, but it can be a sort of reddy brown, so I tend to use sort of black and red and a touch of yellow. Or sometimes a bit of raw umber or all sorts of things, or a bit of a Varna. No more than 3 pigments, you don't want to get too complicated.
So this is the hair?
Yeah.
So like red Havana.
Yeah, you need a bit of ink like red in, a Varna and a touch of black, that would be one possibility. Or black and yellow and a touch of red. You need a touch of black, I think, because it would be all blue, if you like, and it would just be too light, I think.
Do you have a preference for black? I mean, because there's loads of different blacks. There's
Ivory black, certainly ivory, yeah. I mean, for fresco painting, ivory doesn't work, because it just fades. Lamp black has a touch of blue in it.
Right.
So blue, lamp black with a bit of white, looks a bit blue. But for icon painting, ivory is by far the best. If for some reason you want a tremendous opacity, I wouldn't do it for the painting, but it's to say you need a really dark line over gold, then Mars black or iron oxide black. This is the most powerful for when you use up any painting.
I've got a little bone black, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, bone black's all right. That's I mean, it's called ivory black. It used to be made of ivory, but now it's not made of ivory. It's actually bone. So bone black is probably ivory black nowadays.
It feels very different.
Big
to
British, does it?
ivory.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what ivory's made of nowadays.
Yeah.
Old piano keys. I
Yeah,
got
right.
old ivory piano keys.
Yeah, that's another possibility. But the main ones are bone black, ivory black, lamp black. It's vine black as well, which is grapevine turned to charcoal. But I found ivory the best, really.
How much white did you have in the
It's a smidgen.
smidgen?
It's very accurate.
Hardly any.
Yeah. It's like at 5%, 3%. I need to get a bit of black out here and bring it out. I'll make up a little swatch for it. This is not the only black you can hair colour you can have, but it's a sort of a guideline, and you can vary it depending on your icon. It's funny, when I started, what so many different pigments, but now just a very limited range. Really, that's just got everything I do is painted out of those, and as you're right, that's it really. Don't need any more than that. Great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like red black.
So what are the colours you've got there? Just for record.
So, yeah, okay, so got a vermilion, a true vermilion, Italian warm ochre. Italian warm ochre is primarily for washes over flesh, but it's quite a nice colour for furniture.
Where's that
Like
one
a
from?
Havana.
This is minery from Stevenson's. I think I've given them all these too, I think. Terra Vert from Cornelison, only Cornelison's. Titanium white Havana, English light red, yellow ochre light, ivory black.
I didn't know about having
That's
this
right.
one. I don't remember knowing
Yeah.
about that one.
It's brilliant.
Which one is it?
This is Italian warm ochre from Stuart Stevenson's.
Was it in our list?
Minery is the Italian maker. I don't know.
This one was on the list for
Which one?
memory, the yellow one.
Yeah, the yellow
Yeah,
one is
yes,
on it.
yellow ochre light it is.
Because I know that I got everything from the list, but I don't have this one, so.
I'm the same.
Not on the
It's
list.
not on the
Oh,
list.
not on the list?
No.
Ah,
No,
that's,
definitely
that,
not on the
that's my
list.
fault. That's good.
Which one?
No, that's
I
your
can't tell you all my
secret.
secrets.
So is this the only Cornelison one then?
the
No,
others are-
titanium white,
Yeah, Italian warm.
ivory black,
Stevenson.
Okay.
and then azure right is the blue I use. So that's everything, I think. Oh no, raw umber. Raw umber you need, yeah. Yeah, well, the raw umber I bought about 20 years ago, some colours, and that's good.
Sorry.
If they've got the same quality, that's fine.
And these are Stevenson's, these ones.
Stevenson's, no, that's a crema. Stevenson crema.
What's crema? Crema's another.
Crema is a German made sold by Fitzpatrick.
Okay, sorry, that's right.
I'll check up the list I sent you and I'll.
That's Havana from.
Excuse me, can I fix
It's all Havana, yeah. It's very similar, isn't
Thank
it?
you. Sorry.
You don't really know until you put a translucent layer on. So just do that. Yeah, I think it'll be the same. Yeah, fine.
That's quite cheap at Fitzpatrick then.
Havana.
What is it?
This is,
Havana,
Havana.
not Havana. Havana.
Havana.
Yeah, Havana.
Okay.
Yes.
Cuban.
yeah, because it's Havana without an H. It's from
Fitzpatrick.
this one here. Is
Yes.
Yeah.
without an
But they
H.
also sell a Havana.
Oh, right.
Havana.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
How confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that is, a lot of Fitzpatrick ones are very gritty, but that seems all right. I seem to prefer gritty pigments, which I quite
I
like,
got a
but
bucket load of that for about £6 or £7, I think.
it seems fine.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Yeah. Go forward.
So here we have the Havana black and
Yeah,
Bead.
This is one,
Havana blackening is like red. That's pretty good mix for here, I think. Basically, you want something dark brown, dark browny black with a touch of red in it.
Would you ever use umber or?
Certainly for all people's hair, umber and white is ideal.
Mm.
Like Joseph's here was umber and white, but probably not on this. Umber's a bit funny. When it dries, it goes lighter. Then when you varnish it, it goes dark again. Same with terra vert. When it dries, it loses its colour. So that's why another reason for when you finished an icon, putting a wash of Aidan water over, because that saturates it and makes it look as it's going to look when it's varnished. Otherwise, you'll be very surprised when you varnish it. All of a sudden, it's all. So it's important that you sort of keep the colours and the key they're going to have when they're varnished. So, especially if you're doing something like this, it's covered with other pigments, so to retain its greenness. But if you just have a green mountain, just left it, you'll notice in a few days' time it's probably a lot lighter. So you put a wash of Aidan water over it. It's to do with saturation. It's the whole thing of a stone in a river. You take it out and it dries, and all those lovely colours disappear. It's just because it's not saturated with water.
So what would that be? The 80-20
Yeah.
mix?
Yeah.
Sorry, so does that give an idea of what it looked like varnished, or it helps
It
to
won't
affect?
change at all.
Okay.
So you're vanishing it effectively.
And you just do that once?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, perhaps if halfway through your painting you find that the green or whatever has changed a lot, then glaze it in, because that will influence the decisions you make later. So it's still a bit dark, a bit light rather, so a bit of black in. It's not quite red enough, so a touch of red.
It might be annoying and we'll go through again.
Okay, so before you do that, I want a little bit of translucency, so I'll take the excess off now. Just want to get my scrubbing brush in now.
Oh, I've got
So. Do your scrubbing just with water, you don't need the Aidan water. But see, this is too long really, you haven't got so much control. So if I were to use that, I'd get a really sharp knife and cut it half, about that long. And that's a really good scrubbing brush. It's more sort of bristly then. But a sable brush, flat, cut short, should about, what would that be? 7 millimetres is ideal for scrubbing. Now when you do the hair, I wouldn't at this stage paint the beard, otherwise you're in danger of making it a false beard. So just leave, I'll demonstrate the beard, just leave that, just do the hair. Even though it'll be all of the same mix with the beard, it's a different technique altogether. There's some icons where you have a curl at the end of one lock of hair and sort of a pointy end at the other. I think Xenon's icon is like that. I think one or two you've got a picture of.
You mean either side of the head?
Like here, you could have a pointed one and a curly one.
They're not symbolic of anything, are they?
I'm sure you can find someone who will give you some.
Did you all get a swatch of colour or anything? For the brown, no?
Not the brown yet.
Good point.
I suppose it's not so crucial as it is the flash.
That's rather clumsy there, so I'm going to take a bit off. So it gradually gets thinner. This is a bit too parallel in its width.
When we're doing that, what do we do about obviously going up to the gold, because we have to be quite careful.
Yes, be careful. If it goes over, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's better to go a little bit over, and when it's all dry, get a cotton bud and just rub it.
Will it come off?
Yeah.
So it won't stain the
No,
gold?
no one's staying.
Damp cotton?
Don't leave it, sorry?
Damp cotton?
No wet. It must be dry. Don't do it while it's wet, but then the longer you leave it, there's some pigments with a lot of clay in, which become really quite robust, like pure vert. It's not just the egg, but it's the clay, which makes it really quite hard. You've got to rub it quite a lot, which you want to avoid. So, within 5-10 minutes, just a gentle rub and it'll come off. Some people actually deliberately leave a little bit of overlap, which is nice, so you don't have the sudden stopping of paint and starting of gold. You get a bit of an overlap, so it's like a middle shade, which is very nice. Obviously that's too patchy, so you'd go over it again. Strictly speaking, you do the under layer first, and then put the second layer second, the over layer second. If you've got a lock that's underneath, and put over that's over the top, so do the underlock first and put the overlock over the top. So as much as possible, your brush strokes relate to the form. All the time, look at your original, because there'll always be room for improving your drawing. You can do it at this stage. There might be some little curve or concavity you haven't noticed that you do notice now. There's quite a bit of painting over the top of this. It doesn't, unlike the face, it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. You're going to be putting shadows in, the highlights and the hair. And you don't want it too opaque, and the more layers you put on it, obviously, the more opaque it's going to be. So you can imagine if I painted that on now, it'd be quite difficult to make a blend. So you've got an idea of the colour there, and the beard is slightly different hue anyway from the hair. But you know the three pigments it's made out of, so when we've done the face more, we'll come down to the beard. But it's really important that the beard, especially with the young person, grow very gradually out of the skin. An old man, it can be almost on top. There are some places where the hair sort of forks and you get the flesh and the hair like that. But it is done at a very sudden start, whereas here it's completely seamless transition. You've seen all these hair. Yeah, there's no place where the hair starts. Seamless transition there. It's really important. Same with the moustache, it's not just slapped on top, you see how it blends up like that. Even the brows, they're not just slapped on top, they're just very, very carefully blended at the top. Okay, very good.
Can we have the brown swap? Yes, please.
Yes, yeah, some left. And this isn't gospel, the brown, but you can have your own variation.